Okay, so welcome everyone to today's lesson. Today we're looking at IELTS writing task 2 and how to write opinion statements. So when looking at opinion statements, we don't need opinion statements in every type of essay. The two types of essay that we're going to be using opinion statements for are discussion essays and do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages essays. What's another format you sometimes see, the do the advantages outweighs the disadvantages. So for anyone watching at home, I'm joined with a few of my students today. They are going to be answering questions in the chat box. I know you can't see the chat box, but I will relay what they say to you. So what's the other way sometimes written, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Mary, are there more advantages or disadvantages? Yeah, exactly. Anyone who does Chris's course, they actually call them the type 2 on the IELTS Advantage course. So type 2 advantage, disadvantage essays if you are studying with IELTS Advantage. And then the one which confuses a few people is we don't need them in opinion essays. So the whole reason we don't need an opinion statement in an opinion essay is in your topic sentence, you're clearly going to be showing that you're talking about your opinion. So we don't need to repeat ourselves. What is the whole purpose of having opinion statements? Why are they so important? So Mary said, know what you agree with. To answer the question, that's also really important, yeah. So you're going to have questions like, if we look at these discussion essays, so this one is going to be discuss both views, or the one we look at today, discuss both attitudes and give your opinion. So it's in the question. So if the question asks you to give your opinion, that means every paragraph you have to give them. What I see a very common mistake is that students do not put the opinion in this second main body paragraph. They always seem to remember the first and then seem to forget the second. What happens to your score? Let's say the rest of your essay is absolutely perfect. You're about to get band 9 and you forgot an opinion statement in your second body paragraph. What is the maximum score you're going to get for task response? Mary says 6, Nabila says 5, 6. So if your opinion is not clear throughout and you're being asked, and the rest of your essay is absolutely perfect, you're not getting over about 6. So obviously we can see that they're very, very important to include. So it's hugely important, as always, to answer the question. These second ones are a little bit more confusing as to why are we including opinion statements. It says, do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? So remember, for this type of essay, it's not asking you what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages. The whole point of this question is outweigh. So it's kind of saying which one of these views is stronger. So again, it's asking for your opinion. Do you think there are more advantages or do you think there are more disadvantages? So don't just list the advantages, don't just list the disadvantages. We need to be very, very clear in these opinion statements to answer this question. So we're always trying to answer the question. There is, I can't think of any other question that's going to come up, but as I said, discussion essays, advantages outweigh disadvantages, we need these. Okay. A little tip. For paragraphs that you do not agree with the opinion, is that going to be your first paragraph or your second main body paragraph? The weak side. Maybe it says first, yeah, and it's first, maybe it's first, excellent. So yeah, basically what we want to do is we put the weak side always when we have a strong side and a weak side. So again, discussion essays and do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. We always put our weak side first. And then we've got an option. We can rebut the idea. So what does it mean to rebut the idea?
Rebut.
Yeah, can anyone tell me what does it mean to rebut an idea? Or to provide a rebuttal? Oh, so as we formulate, not quite. If you rebut, you argue against. So you're like, okay, this is this idea, but here is a problem with this idea. So you're trying to show why it's weak. So Nabila says, restate why we don't agree. I think actually what Mary said here is much more concise. Basically, you provide a counter argument. So when you're giving a rebuttal, you counter the idea. Whereas you're not going to do that with your strong idea, but this is advanced writing techniques. I would suggest, if you are comfortable doing this, that it's going to be a much stronger opinion statement for your first body paragraph, if you can provide a rebuttal or counter argument, than if you just introduce your next one. However, if you find that really difficult, the other thing you can do, because it still means your idea is clear, is just introduce the idea of the strong paragraph. So you've got two options. You can either give the counter argument against the weak idea, or you can just introduce a strong idea. So these are two possibilities, and we're going to try doing both of these today. So today's question that we're going to have a look at was the one we've been working on for the last month or so, that some people like to try new things. For example, places to visit and types of food. Other people prefer to keep doing things they are familiar with. Discuss both these attitudes and give your opinion. So this is slightly different to the usual discussion essays. What do the usual discussion essays talk about? They don't talk about attitudes, they talk about something else. Yeah, they talk about views. So it's a little bit different, but the concept is the same. We're still going to have an attitude we agree with and an attitude we disagree with. So I already decided, just because then we have a structure, we don't have to mix the slides around. So I thought we're going to agree with the attitude for this lesson that of people like to try new things and places to visit. So this is what we think is the strong idea. And this is going to be the weak idea. Obviously, there's no right and wrong here. Your opinion is your opinion. You can agree with whichever one you want. We just needed to choose one, so I picked one for us. I hope my students are happy with this one. I think they're people who like to try new things, so we're going to go with this idea. So rather than going, I agree that some people think this, we're just going to go with, I agree with the attitude, or I am this type of person. So we're going to say we're this type of person, because it's asking about attitudes, and we're not this type of person. Okay, and that's how our opinion is going to be stated here. So let's have a look at our first paragraph. So we said we go with a weak one first. So we've got a topic sentence here, which is going to show the idea that we're talking about. So others believe, this should be the first paragraph. So some believe that it's preferable to do the same activities which they are familiar with because they are scared of doing new activities. So we've gone over explanations, we've gone over examples of this. Remember, this is something we disagree with. So what word are we always going to start our opinion statement with? To show contrast. Oh, sorry, on the one hand, yeah, sorry. I was copying these when we didn't have 1.0. Yeah, however, so we want the weak side to start with however. Then the next thing what's really important is we have to show it's our opinion. So if I just start, with a clause, I'm stating fact, so it doesn't look like opinion. So how can I show opinion? Mary says I could use I. Other expressions could I use instead of I believe that? Good, I am. Maybe we could do one, two, three, four possible ways we could start. Is there something we could use instead of however? I see some people do this. I thought I should include it. Despite, so we could use despite this. These are two ways you could start here. However, you don't need two different ways. We're only ever going to use one of these. So I would just get in the habit of using one or the other and just use them all the time. Even though, no. So even if you use even though, Mona, even though is going to start a dependent clause, that you're then going to have an independent clause afterwards. So it's possible, but it starts to get complicated. So I would recommend not using this. Marathon, could we use nevertheless? Yeah, nevertheless, yeah. Also work. But to make your life easy, I honestly would just recommend using however. Do you think you get any more marks for using nevertheless or despite this? Does your examiner read your essay and go, oh, they wrote despite this? Oh, they wrote nevertheless, or they came up with something else? No. The examiner just wants to know that you're using cohesive devices correctly. So sitting there going, oh, I want to use something that I've never used before, doesn't get you any extra marks. So keep it simple. So is not going to get repetitive because your next opinion statement is going to start with a different cohesive device. So choose one of these. These are worth knowing to have a couple because we're going to have two opinion statements. So it's nice to use maybe one in your first opinion statement, and then we can use the other in our next one to vary our language. Okay. So some believe it's preferable to do the same activities which they're familiar with because they're scared of doing new activities. So we don't, this is not us. We've decided that this is an attitude that we disagree with. This is not our attitude. So how would you express and let's try and give a counter. Why are you not agreeing with this? How could you maybe express it? You disagree and show that there's a problem with this idea. So I'm going to leave this over to my students. They're going to have to think for a few minutes. Anyone who's watching this at home, please try and answer the question yourself. How would you express that you kind of disagree with this view and there is a problem with this view? Or should I say attitude, not view? maybe think about what this attitude leads to. What would be the problem? Be one way of looking at this. Okay. Thank you very much, Nabila, for being first. So, however, I believe that doing the same things over and over do not make people broaden their horizons. Okay. So here our subject is doing the same things over and over. So is this subject singular or plural? Singular. So remember, if you've got a noun phrase, which is your subject, and remember all your subject's always a noun phrase. And your noun phrase starts with a gerund, it's considered as singular. So here's subject verb agreement. But I believe that doing things over and over again does not make people broaden their horizon. So it's not so much it doesn't make them broaden, not. I would say maybe the better vocabulary here does not allow people to. So I believe that doing the same things over and over again does not allow people to broaden their horizons. Okay. So it's clear that we're showing contrast. So this is good. It's clear that it's our opinion. This is super important. And is this showing, is this countering our argument? Mary says yes. So Hart says yes. Yep, completely agree. So I think we've done Vina's done a really good job here. So we're showing, okay, this is the problem with this argument or this attitude. So I think you've got the three key components that we're looking for. So great job. Okay, let's have a look. One from Mary. So again, key components. We've got the however, excellent. We've got I believe that. Okay, nice. So this part's really clear. If people are optimistic to explore new experiences, they will not be anxious to whatever the results. So here, a few vocabulary areas we can correct here. So if people, so rather than are optimistic, just simply if people, what is it? So we've got a conditional here. So that the verb that they are doing is simply explore or try. So I think try is a slightly more common collocation with the word experiences. So if people try new experiences, they will not be anxious. So normally with anxious, what would be the preposition that we use for anxious? So be anxious is fine. Get anxious also works. But it's here, yeah. So our structure is about, and then we just give the object. So what is our object here? Out of these three words, what is our object? The results, okay, yeah. They will not be or get anxious about the results. So is this showing a counter to this this attitude? So my one problem, if I look at this, I like what we're trying to do, but the viewpoint is we're saying they are scared when they do new activities. But here you're saying if they do new activities, they're not scared. So you're just saying that's not true. I think what would be slightly better here is if the not if they do it one time, but if we show that the more they do it, so if they do it again and again, then they're going to stop being anxious about the results. So maybe the first time they are going to be anxious because that is the attitude. That is the fact that has already been mentioned. But the more they do it, the less anxious they're going to get. I think, again, slightly rewording this is going to be better. Now, it definitely shows a counter. So don't just say, in my opinion, that they're wrong, because that doesn't work so much. But in my opinion, the more they do this, then they're not going to feel anxious. That is a counter. So that would work a little bit better. Okay. So do we have any more? So we've got Mary, Nabila, Mona, excellent. Thank you. So we've got the two really important things that are going to be in every one of these opinion statements to start with. Great job. So if people keep repeating same activities for a long time, can lead to reduce their mental brain capacity. Okay, so if people keep repeating, when we have the word same, so we've got some article issues that we're going to fix here. Every time you use the word same, before it we put that. Okay, so you can remember that this article collocation always is the same. So I believe if people keep repeating the same activities for a long time, this expression also always has an article. Yeah, the indefinite article. Well, a long time. We keep repeating the same activity a long time. Okay, so what type of sentence are we writing here? A conditional. So when we have a conditional, we have the conditional clause. After the conditional clause, we have a comma. And then what type of clause has to come after the conditional clause? That'd be an excellent, an independent clause. So an independent clause must have your teacher's favorite three things. Subject, verb, and object. It has to be a full sentence. So if we look here, what are we missing at the moment? We have no subject because we start with a verb, so we have to have a subject. So if people keep repeating the same activities for a long time, it or this, yeah, we're talking about a situation that this tends to be better. This can lead to reduce. So I think just simply this can reduce because the possibility is talking about, is referring to the reduce. So this can reduce. Then mental brain capacity is a little bit of a strange collocation. Mona says, could we use affect? Yep, this is good also. So you can have that. This can affect their, what would be their brain capacity. So I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to use what Mary's got here. I think this is a more natural collocation. Yeah, this can affect their mental well-being. I think that's a slightly better expression here. Okay, so now we fixed the vocabulary and grammar. let's go back to see if it's a good opinion statement. So if they're doing the same things, it's going to affect their mental well-being. Is this providing a counter? Is this showing that doing the same activities is bad? So Nabila says yes. Rose says yes. Sahar says yes. Yeah, very clearly we're showing, okay, so there is this attitude, but there is a problem. We're showing a problem. This is a really good rebuttal. Something you see here, I know Mary tried it before, and it's also a nice idea, using conditionals here. So if you do this, the problem is this. So it's a really good opportunity to use a conditional statement. So I think it's a very, very appropriate use of this conditional structure. So nice job there, well done. And then I know Sahar had my computer is not copying. 1 second. Okay, so however, good, I believe that. Good, so 2 important parts are here. Although people feel safer, I'm just going to delete these first few so we can actually see. I believe that although people feel safer repeating the same activities, it's more fun to experience something new. Okay, so this is definitely a good opinion statement. Our opinion is showing that this is not our opinion or our attitude. Is this showing a problem? No. So there is nothing wrong with this. This is not a bad opinion statement, but this is basically doing the other technique I was mentioning of basically introducing the next point of view, saying, okay, I disagree with this, but the next point of view is strong. So rather than showing, okay, this point of view is weak, I'm like, okay, but this point of view, the next point of view is going to be stronger. So absolutely fine, definitely a way of doing it. So we can see the contrast here. This one's showing the weak side has problems. This one is showing the strong side is strong. Okay, so just 2 different ways of doing it. And let's have a look at Sahar's. The important part, skip. I believe that people who are afraid of new experiences do not fully profit from life mysteries. Nice. Just a slight issue here. So the mysteries belong to life. So how would we write this? Oh, Sahar, almost, you need an extra letter. Life's mysteries is the common expression here. So I believe that people who are afraid of new experiences do not fully profit from life's mysteries. Okay. Is this showing there is a problem with being scared of doing new activities? Yes, says yes. Or says yes. Yeah. So this is going back to what I was talking about, rebutting or giving a counter argument. So either way is absolutely fine. I just think giving a counter argument, it is a more advanced writing technique. If you are someone who is looking for band 8s and band 9s, I would say go for this. Or the band 9s especially. If you want 8.5s or 9s, you want your opinion statements to show counter argument. I think it is a high level facet of writing essays. So if you're looking for those really top grades, fine. If you're looking for band 8s, band 7s, either one doesn't matter. As long as your opinion is clear, it's fine. Nabila says, just in this main body paragraph, yeah. So we're only going to do this once, because you can't provide a rebuttal in your second opinion statement, because the second opinion statement is about the argument that you agree with. So it's only in the weak side that the rebuttal is really nice. Okay. And as I said, if you're looking for those, if you're just looking for a 7, maybe a band 8, doesn't matter. But if you are a person who needs an 8.5, you maybe need a band 9, then using these techniques is a good idea to add that in. But remember, try and write the essay that you need. So I think a lot of people make this mistake. They need a band 7, and they try and write a band 9 essay, and they get themselves in trouble because they're trying to do techniques that they need to get band 9, but they don't do them successfully, and they end up with a band 6. If you need a band 7 essay, keep it nice and simple. You really don't need to do a lot. To get band 7, you do not need to do a lot. You should just keep it as simple as possible. But if you want those really, really top grades, then showing kind of skills that you can provide counter arguments, I think is important. For this type of essay, obviously it's going to depend on the type of essay, but with a discussion essay, and also these type 2 advantages, disadvantages, they give you the opportunity to provide a counter argument. So it's good to show that you can do it. Anytime in your IELTS, if someone gives you the opportunity to do something, it's good to do it. Okay. So for example, in your speaking, if you're given the opportunity to use the present perfect, use the present perfect. If you're given the opportunity to use the past, use the past. Use what it is appropriate to answer the question. Okay, so can I just check? I think I went through everyone's opinions. Is there anyone I missed out? No. Okay, so let's have a look at the second one. So on the one hand, so we want on the other, isn't it? Okay. So this is the attitude that we agree with. So how do we start an opinion statement that we agree with? Excellent, yeah. Okay, let's stick with these two. We don't need anything more. Or again, we're only introducing one opinion statement for an opinion that we agree with, so we don't need to learn lots and lots of different options, which are going to confuse us. So therefore, or for this reason, both of these are fine. Always remember when you have these introductory phrases at the beginning of your sentences, we need a comma after them. And then we're going to have the same thing as before, either in my opinion, any of these expressions. Try and use an expression you didn't use last time. So if you used I believe that the first time, in your second one, in my opinion. If you used in my opinion the first time, second one, you hear I believe that. So obviously, in a world of just memorizing expressions, you only need to memorize 2 expressions, either in my opinion or I believe that, or I think that, whichever 2 you think are easiest. But try and memorize 2 before you go into an exam, and then you can vary your language a little bit. And just on the topic of varying language, let's just say you repeated I believe that in first main body paragraph, and you put I believe that in your second main body paragraph. Is that going to stop you getting a band 7 in your essay? Sabina says, no, definitely not. If you're using language accurately, it's not going to stop it. You can still get a band 7 for your vocabulary, still get a band 7 for your coherence cohesion. It's not going to stop you getting the band 7. So anyone who's going for a band 7, they're going, oh, I've got to think of all these different synonyms. it doesn't matter. As long as you're using your language accurately, you're safe. Again, if we're looking for the people who want the band 8s, the band 9s, sure, start varying your language a bit more. But if you need a band 7, it's not a big problem. You don't have to vary your language that much as long as it's accurate. Okay. So with that said, over to you guys. This time we're going to have to basically just repeat that. Okay, so this is my opinion. So how can someone give me some example sentences of how you would basically, you've just said, people get bored of doing the same activities, you've explained that, you've provided an example. Therefore, we want to be very clear that this is your opinion. And you're kind of paraphrasing the idea again, but in your own, showing it from your own point of view rather than the other people point of view. Actually, let's make this. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Mona. Just a quick note about spacing. I know obviously a lot of people, they don't have like the Roman alphabet as their natural language, so punctuation is not so common to them. After commas and full stops, you need a space. Before a comma and full stop, no space. These are little things, but every one of these mistakes is counted as a grammar mistake. So it's super important that we don't make mistakes like this. But for this reason, I believe that trying new activities can add more joyful and fun to our life. So joyful here, unfortunately, doesn't work. You don't add joyful. I feel joyful. But as a thing, we would just say, I believe that trying new activities can add more joy and fun to our life. So are we talking about one person or many people here? So the word are is fine. I'm happy with are, but is this a singular or plural pronoun? Plural, because we're talking about mine and other people, so all of us. So if us is plural, then we've got to think that the lives have to be plural. So for this reason, I believe trying new activities can add more fun and joy and fun to our lives. In your opinion statement, is it okay to use words like I and are and us? Yeah, because it's talking about your opinion. So usually in an academic essay, you want to avoid writing in the first person. You don't want to talk about me, you don't want to talk about you, and you don't want to talk about us. But when it comes to opinions, it's asking for you to write in the first person. So it's appropriate. How could we make that slightly more academic though? Instead of referring to our, so a few people are saying there. So if let's say I type this. Who is there referring to in this sentence? Do I know or do I not know? Yeah, Nabila says there's nobody mentioned before, so I can't say there because it's the first time we're mentioning, so it would have to be peoples. Or if you're bored of using peoples, you could use individuals. So this would be slightly more academic, but as I said, I wouldn't panic too much in an opinion statement if you're using first person. Okay. So apart from that, let's have a quick look. Let's break it down. So For this reason, good. I believe that. Good. And are we supporting our idea? Trying new activities adds joy and fun. Yeah, so we're basically paraphrasing this. So this is a good second opinion statement. Okay, let's have a look back at Sahars here. For this reason, good. I'm of the opinion that, good. Trying new experiences makes life more enjoyable. Okay, so is this supporting our idea? Yep, very clear. Very good job. Let's move on to our next one. One for Mary. Get rid of one of these so we have a bit more space. Therefore, good. In my opinion, good. After in my opinion, we put a comma. So remember, anytime you basically start a sentence with a prepositional phrase, say in my opinion is a prepositional phrase because it starts with a preposition, we always have a comma. Okay. So in my opinion, doing new activities will expand individuals' world views. So we need a possessive because the world views belong to the individuals. Do they belong to one individual or many individuals? Many. Okay, so we put it after the S rather than before the S, the apostrophe. Doing new activities to expand individuals' worldviews. Okay. So Hart, should we always add a reason even in main body paragraph 2? Yeah. It's always good to give a reason with an opinion. Again, I just say, avoid what I would call naked opinions. You're not going to get in super trouble. And again, you'll get your bad 7. So therefore, in my opinion, I prefer this view. Or I agree with this attitude. At least your opinion is clear throughout. That is what the question is stating. So you must state your opinion. So that'll get you to your 7. But if you want to, again, fully develop ideas, this is something that you are graded on in your task sports. If you give an opinion, if you're not explaining it, you're not developing it. That is something, as I said, you are actually graded on. So that is going to affect your scores. So if you have an opinion, always give a reason. Okay. Right, I think we've got a few more. Nabila. There we go. Okay, therefore, in my opinion, okay, so this is all good. Trying to do new things is preferable because it avoids people from getting bored of doing the same things. Okay. The only thing I would change here, the word thing. The thing is getting a bit repetitive and the word thing is really, really vague. So here, we throw that in there. In my opinion, people trying to do these things is preferable because it avoids people from getting bored of doing the same activities. Okay. So again, very, very clear. It's talking about our opinion. It's very clear that we agree with this. You've basically paraphrased what we were talking about here. All good. So have we covered everyone's opinion statements? Or were there any other that I missed out on? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, So if that is everyone's, I am going to draw this lesson to an end. So if anyone has any questions about this, please leave them in the comments of this video or join our Facebook group. Anyone who's in the class, you can ask me in a second. Please remember to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of these videos in future. Thank you so much to all my students who came along and were brave enough to give me some example sentences so we could analyze them. And good luck to everyone in their studies.